Mr. Amitav Ghosh, who's joining me on the show tonight to discuss this issue, because Mr. Ghosh has, of course, written on on Mumbai and has also commented on this particular tragedy which has struck the city. Mr. Ghosh, in fact, if I can start with asking you about the fact that you said that thousands of billboards that cover Mumbai would turn into projectiles in case of a storm, if a storm hits the city. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I mean, this hadn't happened before, but it's very clear. I mean, you just have to think about it. It's just common sense. Because, cyclonic activity is increasing in the Arabian Sea. Mumbai's also had very narrow misses with a couple of cyclones. And, this storm was not a cyclone. It was just a windstorm. If a major cyclone hits Mumbai, these hoardings are going to create an absolute disaster. And the reason for that, I think you have to try and understand why Mumbai is a special risk, more perhaps even than Delhi or, Delhi doesn't get cyclones anyway, but Calcutta or Chennai, is because Mumbai has a huge concentration of skyscrapers, and these skyscrapers are glass fronted and they're all they're squeezed in together. And in the event of a cyclone, they'll just be bombarded with hoardings. Not just hoardings, also with, tin roofs. There all across Mumbai, there are, these roofs, of tin, asbestos, and so on. So, this is going to be a real major problem for Mumbai going ahead in a period of massive climate disruption.
Right, sir. So what is the way forward? What can Mumbai, which is one of the biggest metros in the country and also globally recognized as a big metropolis, what can it learn from global examples?
Mumbai has an incredible concentration of billboards. I mean, they're just all over the place. New York has other problems. I mean, it has, exposed cables of all kinds, which should be buried. I think that's one of the first things that any responsible city planner would do going into the future, is to bury, these exposed cables, because that's a great source of vulnerability. And certainly that's not done anywhere in the United States. And that's because they just don't invest the money. Local governments just don't invest the money to do it. But I think certainly one of the most important things that Mumbai must do going ahead is make sure that these hoardings and billboards are properly secured. It's probably not possible to move all of them, but they definitely need very strict regulation. 15 people died. It's a horrifying thing. And in the event of any kind of worse calamity, and these calamities are going to happen, it's going to be much, much worse.
Right, Mr. Ghosh, my last question to you. Are you disappointed by the way our authorities react every time? Like even in this case, the Mumbai civic body is conducting an audit now after the tragedy.
I know. I mean, it's like closing the barn door after the horse is gone, and that's what we see all the time. But, the problem, especially in relation to Mumbai, is that there's very little planning for disaster management. While I was writing my book, I looked up all the plans that they have, and there's very little actual planning. And that's really one of the problems. After those big rain bomb disasters that Mumbai had, 10, 15 years ago, there were two of them in rapid succession. They decided to put in some measures, but those measures, again, have been basically naam ke waste measures, So, the other problem, of course, is that we now discover that this hoarding was illegal. So there was obviously some bribery involved. There was some sort of corruption all the way down the line. So this is another issue that we really have to confront, across India, not just Mumbai. That, the climate is changing and the climate is creating worse conditions. But in fact, one of the reasons why these disasters are happening so often is because of bad planning, bad management, and corruption, at the ground level. Just look at Chennai, all these flooding disasters that they've had year after year. Now, of course, the climate is changing around Chennai and elsewhere, so there are more and more rain bomb events. But the real problem is that Chennai is built in a floodplain and all the drainage channels are being blocked up. And who are the people who are doing this blocking? They're mainly big construction companies, real estate companies, and they wield incredible power. Nobody can resist their power. Most of all, uh, municipal authorities find themselves powerless to resist. So, in fact, Mumbai is singularly fortunate in that the Godrej family has preserved, like I think thousands of hectares of mangrove. But in terms of the municipality, it's proved itself repeatedly to be completely ineffective.
Right, Mr. Amitav Ghosh there, thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV.